Hi, I'm new here. You can call me Air, Star, Candy, she, her. This is my first commentary video, so if you like it, like and subscribe. Alright, I'm just gonna get straight into it. So this is about Junidrawz and Yummy cactus. And before people start twisting things, no, this is not me calling them predators. That's not what I'm doing. I'm talking about what they actually did, what's documented, and why their public narrative doesn't line up with their private behavior. I used to watch their videos. Not like hardcore fan, but enough. And honestly, even back then, I felt something was off. I couldn't prove anything. It was just that weird feeling when someone is really aggressive about calling other people immoral. Then the document came out. Here's where the facts start. Multiple ex-friends, including Mason and Dippy, describe long private calls and group chats with Junie and Yummy, where extreme content was shared and normalized. I'm talking about necrophilia-themed art, gore, rape jokes, self-harm content, and Nazi imagery. This wasn't one drawing. This wasn't one joke. There are repeated examples of Junie and Yummy drawing their own personas, engaging in sexual acts with decapitated heads, corpses, or characters clearly tied to paraphilic symbolism. There are drawings using necrophilia and pedophilia pride color palettes, characters referencing known dog whistles, and personas based on real gore videos. And this stuff wasn't just kept to themselves. It was shared in private group chats and calls, sometimes with friends who were minors, sometimes with friends who were already struggling mentally. The self-harm part is especially hard to ignore. According to multiple accounts, Junie and Yummy talked openly about cutting, showed scars, shared images, and even discussed hurting themselves together in person. There were group chats centered around self-harm. One friend had been 9 months clean, and after being exposed to this environment, relapse. Even if someone technically says yes out of curiosity, that doesn't make it safe. When you're encouraging or normalizing that behavior, especially with vulnerable people, that's harm. Now let's talk about the grooming claim, because this is where things really fall apart. Junie publicly framed himself as being groomed by his ex-friends. But when you actually look at the ages, Junie was 16, Mason was 16, Yummy was 17, Dippy was 17. There is no large age gap, no adult exploiting a child. And more importantly, there's evidence that Junie and Yummy were actively participating, initiating conversations, making the art, joking about it, and continuing even after concerns were raised. You can't willingly take part in something, benefit from it socially, and then later rewrite it as grooming to avoid responsibility. That's not accountability. There's also the Nazi imagery, which directly contradicts their public stance. Both Junie and Yummy have drawn their characters in Nazi uniforms and reference fascist imagery, despite Junie being Jewish and despite both of them publicly condemning others for similar behavior. Some of this artwork is recent, even though they've claimed all problematic art was from long ago. Again, that contradiction matters. Then there's rape content. Junie and Yummy have publicly criticized other artists for glamorizing or joking about rape. But privately, there are screenshots and testimonies showing them joking about it, requesting friends draw rape art, and even making comments about real people's assaults. That includes statements made about Daisy Cupidite's rape, which, even if said in voice calls, multiple people independently describe as degrading and cruel. That's not edgy humor, that's re-traumatizing. Harassment is another pattern. There are examples of Junie and Yummy asking friends to mass report people, copyright strike videos that criticize them, and encourage dogpiling using alternate accounts. There are references to servers made specifically to collect information on people they didn't like. They've also admitted to sending themselves hate messages to gain sympathy, lying about being hospitalized, and asking friends to take the blame for them when things blew up. That's manipulation, not misunderstanding. Now, my opinion, clearly separated from the facts. I don't think this was some master plan. I think this was a group of unstable teens with platforms they weren't ready for, feeding into each other's worst impulses. But being young doesn't erase harm, and it definitely doesn't excuse lying to your audience or labeling other minors as groomers when the facts don't support that. Junie and Yummy built their platforms on morality, accountability, and calling people out. If you do that, you don't get to dodge responsibility when it's your turn. The biggest issue isn't just the art, it's the hypocrisy, the rewriting of events, and the refusal to be honest. Mason and Dippy have admitted their mistakes and stepped back. Uni and Yummy, instead, shifted blame and positioned themselves as the sole victims. That's why people are upset. So no, this isn't a cancellation video. This is about telling the full story with context, names, and receipts. Read the document yourself. Look at the timelines, and don't just believe whoever talks the loudest. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for listening.